going back to the 1800s. Welcome today. It was really foggy this morning, but the fog is cleared, but it's an unusual winter. Don't know who to blame it on. Jack Frost, I guess. Exciting show for you today for Chat Canna. Got some interesting news that affects the hemp world, and perhaps your hemp plans as you are making another year's decisions. Have you all got your licenses for the next year? We have ours. We have decided to grow in just one of our two locations this year, but we are processing in both. Processing license in Minnesota, you can have one fee, but multiple locations. But of course, there is a separate charge for indoor and outdoor and each location. So to do indoor and outdoor in two locations would be 4 charges. And for our research and development, we don't feel that we need that this year. So this year we are going to be doing indoor and outdoor just at our new farmstead located at the junction of Highway 2 and 75. And we're not going to be doing any research and development here at our original location this year. Actually, we're going to be trying to do some things here way after the hemp plant is not hemp anymore. And that doesn't require any licenses at that point, because the hemp would be then in the product stream. Doesn't require a license at that point. Well, 2 stories for you today. I think that are rather interesting. The first one is the EU and what they're doing. And I hope that this story can come across as incitement for the United States to, if all the farmers start passing this on and talking to people, the EU wants to make their region a new fabric and textile producing region. The United States and Europe has lost that to Asia. And that shouldn't be. The textile mills of the Northeast of America were running full speed 24 hours a day for decades. I don't know if centuries is too far to stretch it, but certainly for a long, long time. And slowly, they got shut down as the markets moved off to Asia, India, China, Japan, not so much Japan, but certainly Vietnam, Thailand. All of that country has taken over. If you go into a big box store and look at the origin of anything fabric, you are just going to see that it's coming from that part of the world. And as that happened, of course, Europe lost it all too. And the EU says that we want to get it back, and they think that hemp can be the way to do that. The textile industry has been flagged as a key sector in Europe's transition toward a greener and more sustainable economy. The 4th biggest industrial consumer of primary raw materials and water after food, housing, and transport is, of course, greenhouse gas emissions, according to the EU. And they think that textiles can help them while creating a sustainable industry. Isn't that cool? And they think that hemp can be the core, the eco-design core to making that happen. Why is that? Well, it sounds like a repeating snake oil salesman story to say that hemp is this magic product, but hemp is this magic product. I don't know how to say it in other words, but I will keep trying. First of all, it totally encourages the reduction of hazardous chemicals. You don't need hazardous chemicals to use in the processing. It gives businesses and private consumers greater access to environmentally friendly products. And literally everything in the hemp plant can be used. It's just not a throwaway plant. Hence my original statement, it's this magic plant. The insides of the seeds can be used for feed for humans and animals. And it can be squeezed for oil, for cooking, and for bearings, high-speed super bearings. There is no artificial oil that's any better than what comes from hemp oil. The hemp oil in the plants, not from the CBD oil that we take out of the flowers. Got to make that distinction. Then we've got the hulls, and they're just finding out what they can do with the hulls, but it makes bedding for animals, as it does from the herd, which is the inside of the stalks, which can be made for hempcrete, which, remember, is not like concrete. You can't make roads with it, but it makes insulation, and it makes bricks, blocks, things to make for house construction. And then, of course, the big thing that I like so much, my personal favorite, is what's called the silk, or the outside, the bark of the stalks, which are great for blue jeans, 3 times longer lasting blue jeans, and paper, and other paper products like that. When we say paper, we don't just mean the paper that was written, used to write the Constitution on, or the Bill of Rights. We mean paper for Chinese takeout food, or paper for signs, much more durable than paper, but yet can be thrown away. But wait, it doesn't have to be thrown away. It can be recycled and made into paper again. You see, paper for water bottles. I don't know if you noticed, but we first saw it when we were traveling on ships, that paper water bottles were the new thing. Came out a couple of years ago. It wasn't the plastic water bottles like this, but they were paper bottles that were coming to drink water out of, and they were square rather than plastic. And you might say, well, who cares about that? Well, believe it or not, when you're putting 100 plastic round bottles in a container, there's a whole bunch of empty room in the corners. And if you can square that up, instead of 100 round bottles in a space, you can get like 112 square bottles in a space. And if you don't think that 12% means a difference on a ship that has only so much room, or 12% means a difference in a train car, that's literally 12% more profit that the train can carry in the same volume. And I'm telling you, in these modern times, Walmart and stuff are working on making 1% more, a fraction of a percent more. So 12% is a whole lot. And the container for that water carrier didn't come from petrochemicals. It came from something that grows in my field and can be reused. The cap was the only thing that couldn't do it. And I'll bet you they'll find a way to make that. So the EU has set their goal on making hemp into all of these things, but particularly clothing. They think that they can reignite textiles in the EU's 22 countries, grow it, spin it, sell it, reuse it. Oh, I just created that. Good thing I only got 4 fingers. I can't think of a fourth one. Grow it, spin it, sell it, reuse it. This is the EU's goal. Now, here's the problem. Why should we let them get ahead of us on this? That's what should be touted in Washington. The new agriculture secretary is coming from right south of us here in Iowa. It looks like he's going to be approved by the Congress. He was the ag secretary for 8 years under Obama, and it looks like Biden has tapped him, and it looks like he's going to be approved. And remember, I do not get in the politics game. I'm not going to tell you if he's the good guy, the bad guy. I'm not going to tell you if he did great for us or if he didn't. You've got to make those decisions yourself. I'm reporting that it looks like, well, we know that Biden has tapped him. It looks like the Congress is going to approve him. But he's an Iowan. He's no more than 400 miles away from me. I'll bet you that I know somebody who knows him. If I know somebody who knows him, then you know somebody who knows him. Let's get the message to him that we want America to lead the way in textiles. Those factories are still sitting in the East Coast. Those spinning machines are still sitting in the East Coast. They can be geared up in a matter of months. There are farmers out here to the west of me. We turned the building. It's not my fault. Yes, you can turn a building. It had wheels under it. Those farmers are sitting there, and if not this year, because they've got their plans made for this year, but next year they can start adding industrial hemp, not CBD hemp, industrial hemp. There are stations like we're working toward that can make machines that can take the outside, the bark off the hemp and turn it into silk. It feels like silk. That's why it's nicknamed silk. And then we're right on the process of making cloth. That silk, like a cotton gin, takes the cotton, or from a lamb's wool, you know how they would card lamb's wool, those two square things with all those little iron hooks on them that kind of hurt you if you put it on your hand? They start carding it. They put it out in a row. And from there, in the old days, a woman would take that and start spinning it. Remember the spinning wheels, even of the child's fairy tales? And you spin that into a thread. And my goodness, there was women and some men who could spin that to the finest thread you could imagine. And from that thread, that became the wool that was with knitting needles made into cloth, and or woven right into mittens, gloves, socks. Those were the most basic of knitters. But then the more sophisticated ones were doing shirts and actually pants of the time, underwear and pants. And finally, machines that were doing t-shirts and long johns and wool, thick green wool pants. And then fine men's wool pants and jackets, sport coats. LL Bean, Bemidji Woolen Mills, now shut down, sadly. I believe that some of their knitting machines, or machines, if they were knitting machines, went to Boston, and that business went out of business. This can all be, as they say, livened up again, awoke. There's single people, couples that want to get back into making their living this way. And that's how it's going to start. It's going to start by onesies and twosies wanting to getting back into it. And it's going to take people like the different foundations in Minnesota. The big Blandon needs to fund some of this. They need to give people $250,000 in one of these machines and say, go for it. Start doing it until people will see that, I would buy it. Knit me a sweater. I'll wear it. I've already had a hemp t-shirt that I wore for 20 years, and finally, it's the end of its life. You saw my wallet on a previous show. That's what the EU is doing. Look, I've talked 13 minutes about it, and that's not the big story for today. America, wake up. It's time to do this. Talk to these new people that are going to Washington. Talk to the people that are going to Minneapolis, St. Paul. I'm sorry, it's one market. Bismarck. Say, we need this. It's a new area. Talk to the farmers that are doing it. There's hemp farmers around you. Call me. You can find me all over the internet. Just Google my name. My phone number is everywhere. We got to get talking about this. We can't have the coffee clatch over at RBJ's restaurant, but we can have Zoom meetings. I'll form a Zoom meeting. Join in. Come and talk to us. We are at the cusp of a new industry that got sidetracked by this thing that happened to us last year. It's time to start it up again. This is winter. You're not going to your neighbors and having coffee like you used to, but you can get on your computer, you can get on your cell phone and put a neighborhood Zoom meeting together every day and say, let's look into this. Let's start it up. There are people who have done it and can show you how to do it. Put in 20 acres next year. Your neighbor that knows how to harvest it will come and help you do it. Put pressure on the market. Let's get it going. I'm done with this topic. We got to get on the next one. It's really great. It's really great. It's so dry in here, folks. I'm sorry. I got to keep water going. We have like 800 licenses in Minnesota last year for hemp, 400 or so in North Dakota, hundreds around us. As we went east, there was more in Indiana and Illinois. But everybody's going, what should I plant? What's the best thing to put in the field? It's a real conundrum. We're getting salesmen calling us and making big claims about, things you've never heard of, or things that kind of have names tied to, the other industry of the this kind of stuff. Things like Suver Haze, Mountain Mango, Quick Kush, things like that. Well, is that a carryover, and do I want to plant those kind of things, or do I want to kind of stay in the CBD line? And who's growing what, and what kind of stuff is it giving us? Is it giving us 5% CBD back? Is it giving us 15? Everybody's claiming 15, 20, 25, 30. Are they really getting it? Well, some guys from Indiana and Illinois have put together a database, and hundreds of farmers have now added to the database. And on YouTube and on Facebook, I will put the links down below for you to actually go and look at the database here. For you on Twitch yet, I haven't figured out how to do that. When I get it figured out, I will put it on Twitch for you too. And of course, we want to crop below 0.3% THC. But how do you get that? I'm looking down the database here, and I'm seeing here's berry blossom, and this farmer had 0.74. Not really a good THC level. He had to destroy it. But here's 3.4. That would work. It's under, it's 3 because it hasn't got to 4. Here's 0.15, 1.4, 1.8. Here's a 4.5. It's kind of pushing it. It was called presidential. I never heard of that. Here's Buffalo Soldier, 0.1. Really great, right? Here's 0.2, 0.29, 0.27. Here's 3.1. That would still qualify. It didn't hit 4. Here's 5.2, EPG. It came from Eastern Plains Hemp. Here's Hot Blonde. It was 0.19, but its total CBD was 7. Here's total CBDs coming in at 5 and 4 and 5 and 4. And my processor doesn't want to take that because it costs too much to put it through the ice cold ethanol processing. That it doesn't work back. Here's total CBDs of 2.5 and 6 and 7 and 4. You got to look through this, and what are you going to plant next year? And on the other hand, here's total CBDs of 13 and 12 and 12 and 13. And so what are you going to plant? How do we know? And what soil did they have? How much fertilizer did they put on it? I'm talking to our big farmer over that way. He's planning to plant our 6 acres for us this year because he's got the machinery and he can just go in it. We've always planted by hand before. And, and he wants to put on a couple of 100 pounds of nitrogen per acre. And so, we got to decide what we're going to do here. But certainly if we're going to do that, I want a seed that has a chance to give me back. Here's Special Sauce, it's called. 17% CBD. And then we look over here and we're looking under the percentages that we don't want, right? Well, here are people coming in at 0.2, 0.59. Ouch. 0.1, 0.48. That's kind of an ouch as you go down the list here. So how do you make your choice? Well, of course, education is knowledge. Knowledge is power. And we got to thank the Extension Service of Illinois. And we're going to have that. If you want to write it down, it's extension.illinois.edu/Midwestern-hemp-database. But I will have the links down below here for you. And they've got hundreds of varieties and all of their everything you could want here. They're going across the top. And the one we planted most, of course, was the cherry wine variety, and it's kind of comes in the middle in everything. It's not the lowest THC, and it's not the lowest or highest CBD. It's kind of right in the middle. But then we did some others last year. We had Hillbilly Haze. I don't know if I've seen that down the list here, and it sure performed well for us. We just had a few seeds of that, but it did not it did not grow well. I mean, we got really low germination on it, but the stuff that did germinate did really well. So here's Boax. I tested some of that yesterday, and now see, it was showing here on Boax here. It showed really low CBD, but I had a lot higher CBD in the tests I did for a farmer, but it came in at low. Oh no, it came in on high THC here, and mine came in on low THC for the farmer. So how are you going to decide? At least, like I said, facts are powerful, and here they are. And that's what we've got for you today. This database, we thank the Extension Service over in Illinois who partnered with the folks in Wisconsin, and we're going to have that listed for you there. That is our program for you today, and we are happy that you join us here at our show at Chat Canna. Please join us again. Join us every day. We are always happy to see you. We are here most every day in the week, except Friday at 3 in the afternoon, but you can watch us anytime. If you're on Facebook, please like us, and then we will see that you hear from us whenever we are broadcasting. If you are on us with us on YouTube, please subscribe and hit that little bell, and then you will get notification when we're broadcasting. And also, please say that you like us on Twitch. My name is John Reitmeyer. I'll look forward to seeing you again real soon, and always get a hold of us here at Chat Canna or at Canna RHX. We'd love to talk to you. Until the same time tomorrow, we will have another show. Until then, always be studying, talking to your neighbors, and remember, we do believe that hemp is the magic plant.